Hey guys. All right. So today is our second day of Art Speak Week. And for today's moderator is Mr. McClatchy. He teaches our figure drawing and also our portfolio and resume class. All right. I'm going to spotlight Shane or Mr. McClatchy and also Yalda.
Hey everybody. Welcome to Speak Week. I'm Mr. McClatchy. Some of you are my students. Some of you are not. Today we get to hear from Yalda Sepahpour. Yalda and I went to college together at LCAD, Laguna College of Art and Design. And she's a rock star artist now. She's killing it. She does really big, awesome paintings, a lot of figurative work. She's been featured in the LA Art Show multiple times, with another round of that coming up soon, which is really exciting. And we're really lucky to have her here to talk to us. So Yalda's gonna show us some of her work and talk about her work and her process. And then we get to have a quick Q&A with her and a little discussion at the end. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, try and write them down just so you remember at the end. And then if you want to say them out loud at the end or type them into the chat, we'll have time for that then. But yeah, Yalda, please take it away. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi guys, my name is Yalda Sepahpour and I'm an Iranian artist. So today I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my own experience being a professional artist, and I will be giving you guys a demo. So I'm gonna share the screen and we can go into seeing what we're going to be diving into. Okay, so my experience in art school was very different than what I first thought it was going to be. So first, you go into art school, you're super excited, super overwhelmed with being surrounded by all these other students that are very similar to yourself, really interested in the arts, have all these dreams, and everybody's only talking about art, studying and everything. But after 2 years, I started to realize that actually art school is a little bit like a bubble, and it's not the reality of what the art world actually is. They don't teach you how to be a professional artist. Art school is really just for giving you the tools, and it's more about the fundamentals, but they really don't talk about the reality of making money and being professional, with the arts. It's something about having it as a hobby, but then it's something else and doing it as a profession. So I would say that, you can't only think about just creating. The creation is very, very important, but you also have to think, okay, if I were to be doing this professionally, how would I do this in a way where you can continue, making your bread and your butter? You look around, at least for myself, I would see a lot of students that would graduate, and then after graduating, a lot of them did not do art, or you would talk to professional artists and it was just a complete different game. So for me, first, it's about asking yourself, what it is that you want to do with the arts. What's your goal? Who are your idols? And how did they do it? If I were to go back and be 18 again, I maybe would have not gone to art school, at least for my goal, because my goal is really just to be able to paint and do this as a profession. I would maybe have a mentor that would train me for maybe 2 years, 3 years, or a few years that I trust their eye, or is somebody that I really like to look up to. And, maybe also take in consideration of, the business side of the arts and, what are the other things that you need to do? Because for me, sorry about this, you guys, I'm not very good with the what's this called? The PowerPoints, yes. So that for me was the thing that I noticed. So another part of the art is, marketing and networking. And another problem for me with the art school was that I didn't know my weaknesses. So all I would do was I was going to class and I was just taking the courses, I was just doing the assignments, and I wasn't questioning anything. Where now I see some of the things that they were teaching us, but I wasn't taking full advantage of the classes, for example, anatomy and, landscape and all these things. So if you guys are thinking of going to art school, be very, very aware of the classes that you're taking. What are the things that you want to do in your work? Are you going to be, figurative? Are you going to have, landscape? What is it that you like? So really, really take advantage of that. So also, the way that I became a professional was not the fact that I just did the assignments and I had good grades. I wasn't the best student at LCAD. I was a very normal student. A lot of the other students were much, much better than me, much, much better skill than I did. But what I did was I did the schoolwork, and the schoolwork is aside for school, but you have to also do your own work on the side. I was doing art walks. I had stands. I was applying to a lot of shows, which majority of them I got rejected. Maybe there was 2 that accepted me, which were group exhibitions. And eventually, I was working in my garage. I was working in a coffee shop. And I told myself, I'm going to quit my job for a month, and I'm going to try to continue my life with just the art. I gave myself a month. And then in the month, I said to myself, if I'm not going to be working 100% every day, then I have to go get another job. So I started working in the garage, but eventually the association in that area told us that you cannot leave the garage door open because it doesn't look pretty in our little area. So I raised a little bit of money, and then I got my own studio in Laguna Beach. And I wanted to get into murals. So I started doing this piece for myself. This one is 9.5 feet approximately. And there was a gallery right across my studio called CSArts Bilodeau Contemporary. So Eve Marie, the owner of CSArts Bilodeau Contemporary, came to my studio because she actually wanted me to pose for one of her artists. She wanted a more ethnic face. And I had this, and I had all the other work that I was working on. And she looked at it and she said, oh, this is very interesting. And she said, you know what, maybe we can work together. So I see that she's very interested. And so I started continuing working a little bit faster on the piece. And I said, hey, if you're interested in seeing how this looks like in a few weeks, I can show you. She's like, absolutely. So a couple weeks passed by, and she tells me, look, I don't want to get your hopes up, but can you finish this in a week? I said, sure. She said, I might take you to the LA Art Show, but it's not 100%. So of course, I took the offer. I finished the piece. We exhibited it in the LA Art Show, and it sold within the first 30 minutes to a very successful artist and collector called Retna, if you guys are familiar with. And then after that, we had a huge waiting list, and then it kept continuing. And I continued pushing myself and working hard and making the work. I was still in school at the time. I think I had maybe 2 years before I graduated. So on top of school, I was doing this work because LCAD is very, very academic. So this was not accepted in the school. So that's how it continued and my career actually started. I was also going to tell you guys about one other thing, is that time passes really, really, really fast. You think you have time, you think you'll figure it out, but in a blink of an eye, you're a few months before you graduate, and you really don't know what you're going to do. If you get the degree, depending on what you want to do, for me, fine arts, and for what I wanted to do, the job's not going to find you. You need to constantly apply. You need to put your work out there. And even if you don't think it's perfect, you need to start from somewhere. And the earlier you do this, the more you're going to progress. You are going to fail. You are going to get rejected, but you need to start early. I was lucky I was able to connect with this gallery. And the reason I connected with the gallery was because I was already doing this piece for myself. And I was still applying and everything. And, you know, luckily this happened. And we've been working together now for 4 years. And we have been able to go to China, Shanghai. We have work sent all over the world, from the UAE to Switzerland, Canada, London, America. So, you know, you guys have social media, you have Instagram, you have TikTok. These are some ways that you can put yourself out there. I mean, I've had times where, you know, I was having a stand and a guy just came up and he looked at my work and he said, "What is this? I graduated from Art Center College of Design. These lines don't make any sense, you know." And there's gonna be people coming and telling you that they don't like your work, but it's okay. You do it for yourself, you know. And as long as you're sincere about your work, as long as you give 100% of your work, you will be successful. But don't just think that you're going to get the degree and it's done. No one's going to ask you about your grades. It's really just about your work. You know, that's what they're going to look at the end. So make sure that you start early. You're going to thank yourself so much, because you're going to get stuck into, you know, getting a part-time job, you know, figuring all of that out. And then a few years pass by and then you realize, like, you've been working in a, you know, like a coffee shop or something for 20 years. And then you tell yourself, oh, I got an arts degree back in the day. You don't want that to happen to you. You want to be able to do your work. So do that. And it's possible. It's possible to make a profession out of art. A lot of people are going to tell you you're crazy. What are you going to do with your life? If you love it, do it for yourself. You have to be happy with it. You know, it takes time, it takes patience, but it's worth it. This piece, for example, this is a 14-foot piece. I started this, a lot of people told me I'm crazy. They told me there's no way anyone's going to buy a 14-foot canvas. You're so ridiculous, the time is not enough, you can't do it. We sold this piece twice. We sold this piece twice. And if I weren't willing to do the risk, then, you know, none of this would have been possible. So the risk is extremely important. Be smart about it. Get your education, study, but next to your studies, do your own experimentation, because your schoolwork is your schoolwork. If you want to be a professional about it, you need to put in the time. So I'm going to give you guys a little demo. We're going to be doing some ink. And before that, I'll just show you a few of the stuff that I'm working on in the studio right now. So none of them are finished, unfortunately, but you guys get a little bit of a feel. So we have this one, which is 9 feet. And we have the little sketch over here.
Hey, Yalda, if you could stop sharing your screen for a second, we can
Oh,
see,
yeah.
We can see
thank you
your
very much.
screen bigger than.
Thank you. Okay, is it good? Are we good to go?
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we have this. That's the sketch, and then we have the piece, which again is not finished. And then we have this one, which is also not finished, but you know, we're getting there slowly. So this one's going to be going for Citibank for LA Art Show this year. And then we also have this one. And I'm gonna go a little closer just so you guys can kind of see some textures, you know, get a little bit of a feeling about the work.
Is that oil paint?
Yes. So all of these are oil paintings. And just for myself, I love oils. I love watercolors. And one thing that has helped me a lot with the oil paintings is I really recommend you guys, if you guys want to go into fine art and into oil painting and stuff, if you like my work, of course, I would say that watercolor really helps. It gives you a lot of information. And if you can get into watercolor and you enjoy it and you learn a little bit with it, it will help you tremendously in oils. It's amazing. Crazy change. So high recommendation, and also doing a lot of drawings and ink drawings. That has also helped me a lot. it flows, you know. I'll show you in the demo. You'll get a little bit of a feel of it. So those are the only things I have for you today as the pieces. I also have this. It's a little quick lino cuts. I printed these a while ago, but you know, they're fun, you know, and sometimes some of them might not turn out good, but you just have to keep trying. You got to keep experimenting. It's very important. So try everything, And if the painting looks bad, you do another one, easy. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to give you a demo. Hopefully it's going to be a good demo. It's not going to be a fail, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to be using ink, and I'm not the one who has the best brushes, to be honest. I use very simple brushes, not the best. So I have these two brushes. This is not my favorite. I kind of like round brushes mainly, but we're going to use this. And I have this little one to kind of, you know, give you a little bit of the swirls, give you some different texture. So I'm gonna grab my phone so I can have a little reference, and we're gonna start the demo. Okay. Hopefully this is gonna be a nice drawing. It's always a risk, but we'll see how it goes.
No pressure.
All right. Okay. Gotta get the reference out for a second.
Can you hear us if we talk to you right now through your headphones?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Can you guys hear me very well?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen my work. I'm a huge horse person. I don't know if we have any people that are really into horses, horseback riding. I love horses, so we're gonna do a horse today. Okay. My ink is a little dry, so we gotta open this up a little bit. Okay, there we go.
Yalda, do you usually start a painting this way, or will this kind of stay as an ink drawing?
So it really depends. I personally like to do some ink drawings just for myself.
Yeah,
And then it just keeps continuing. Recently, I do this before, because the
yeah,
thing is that I personally like to paint before. I don't like it. I don't like to draw it out with like a pencil or something, because this has a little bit of the flow, you know.
yeah,
And it's just, it's a little more painterly, you know. It's funner, and
yeah,
it's not as, I don't know if you guys can see, because I'm Iranian, so you know, if you look at the calligraphy and everything, it's very like this. So my hands are always going like this, you know, and the lines are very squiggly, very curvilinear lines, you know. I think that's just because I'm Iranian, you know, and I've just been very exposed to that. Like, even if you look at the architecture and everything,
yeah.
like the mosques, all of that, you know, you see that. Um, but I do the drawing first, yeah.
Is this is on canvas, or is that paper there?
This is actually on paper.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know if can you guys see when I'm doing this? Like, I feel like I'm in front of the
I can see it. We're a little far away, but if
okay, hold on,
it
let
might,
me
I
come
think
a little, let me come a
as you
little
go,
closer.
it'll
You know what
be
we would
like it's
do?
getting more and more
I'll give you
clear.
guys, a little bit of an angle. Is that easier for you? Do you think that's better?
Maybe, yeah. Then we
Okay,
could.
okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, you let me know, and I change the angle a little bit, okay?
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, because there's so much like I've seen your ink drawings before. There's so much like happening on like a really up close level.
I wish I could. Can you zoom the camera? Is it possible on this?
I think it.
No, it's not
No,
possible.
I don't think so. But I think we can see a little better now.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. After this is done, I'll kind of go in. I'll go a little closer, and then you can kind of see a little bit
Yeah.
of the little squiggly lines. I'm sorry, you guys. I should have decided to
No,
do a
don't
little small one
apologize.
for you. I'm very new at this, you know. So
No, this
we'll
is
see how
all. I
this
love
goes.
how large this is.
But you can't really see, you know, on Zoom. You can't see too much detail. But okay, there we go. Let's try this again. If it's not working, you guys let me know. Okay, up and close.
Do you ever like water down your ink at all, or do you just go straight from the?
Yes. So I'm gonna bring the
Sorry, I keep asking
laptop very
questions. I don't
close.
mean to
No, no,
interrupt you,
no.
but
It's totally fine. Do your thing. So if you look before the first ones, it's very watered down.
oh,
And
cool.
now I'm
Yeah.
going in with the straight ink. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold the laptop like this if it works for you guys. So you see,
That's
I don't know if
awesome.
you can.
You don't have to keep holding it if it's uncomfortable, but
It's okay. I'll
cool to
hold it
see.
until I can't hold it. How
Okay,
is that?
don't fall off your ladder.
Oh, actually, I have an assistant right here. Here's my brother. He's going to
Oh,
assist
hey.
us. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go grab some more ink from the bottom. I'll be back. Hold on
Sure.
2 seconds. All right, perfect. Nice. Zooming up. Can you guys see well? Is it good?
That looks awesome. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I also love flowers. So I usually put it a lot in the bridals. Orientalism, all that kind of stuff is my jam. So okay, hold on. Şöyle ببینم girişken pointer. Aferin. Okay, I'm gonna water it down a little bit now, so not all of the lines look the same. So I have to go down again. Okay, Mihai, do you want to go a little bit more back so they can, yeah, okay, perfect. All right, nice. Thank you so much. Okay. So now I have a little bit of the watered down ink, and then, okay, now let's go a little close again. Okay, thank you. Okay. So it's all, I like layers. I'm not much of a blender. So, you know, I just like to, you know, play around with the layers. Okay. یکم برو پایین‌تر که این yeah, go a little low. Okay, there we go. Okay, nice. All right.
That was really fast too.
I mean, that's the nice thing about the ink is because, you know, there's something very beautiful about just making the quick decisions, because if you, for me at least, if I hesitate too much, you can tell in the line. But when you just let it flow, even if you make a mistake, you just let it flow, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't stepped back in a while, so we're gonna step back for a second, see how it's looking. Okay, برو عقب. خب. I'm gonna do. How is the video going? Can you guys see everything? Is it good to go?
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, if you needed to move around, you just let me know. Up,
Sure.
down, far, and anything.
I love how it's dripping like that too. That's
That's
super
the
cool.
beauty of the ink. It's just so it just flows, you know. It's nice.
Do you prefer to work larger like this? Do you have like a size that you like the most?
I personally like larger more. Usually the paintings start from like minimum 7 feet and then it goes up to 18 feet. There's something about painting very large. Also, another thing that you learn from it is that, you know, you have to think very big, like large shapes. The large shapes are very, very important. And I think that from painting large, that's what I've learned from it. Because you can get very sucked into getting too detailed and blending and everything. But when you're painting very large, it does help you think that way, because when you go a little bit smaller, you can just paint really, you know, quick, fast. It's nice. So this is just a little quick sketch I did for you guys. but we're gonna give it a little look just to see. I would work on it a little bit more for you guys, but it's gonna take longer unless you guys want me to continue. But just for you to get a little bit of a feel, you know, of the ink. I really love it. I really recommend it. But the large, it's fun. There's something about it. I mean, there are some pieces that it doesn't have to be large. If it doesn't have to be large, it doesn't have to be large. But for my subject matter, for the message that I have, what I want to do, the size is very important. Like if we were to scale this down very small, it's not going to have the grandness that it has now with the women. You know, it's gonna
Yeah.
get very sucked in. So the size first was because of the purpose that it had, but now I just love painting large.
And it's cool how
That's my thing.
like when something is life size, it's cool, but then once it's bigger than that, like those figures in that painting seem larger than life size, that's like a whole new realm. And
Oh yeah,
that's
and
difficult
also,
to do though.
I mean, everything's difficult. I mean, if you were to give me something small to do, I probably wouldn't do a good job at it just because I've gotten used to these. But
Yeah.
when it's large, you can put in a lot of energy. I mean, I'm a very rough painter, you know, so I have to stretch these on the wall because sometimes I will show you some of the brushes. I don't recommend you guys do this. You will have a heart attack seeing these brushes, but we're gonna give you a little bit of a sneak peek. But some of these brushes, like I have this, that's a broom. So when you're going on the painting, you're not just, you know, slightly dabbing. I go like this, you know, sometimes. So it's necessary for it to be on the wall. Or, you know, if I were to have like a stretcher bar on it, you're gonna start seeing the lines.
Yeah.
So when it's large, you can really show, you know, like the energy with the brushes and everything. I like to do that for myself. But some people are also more on, you know, like the delicate side, which I really admire. I wish I could do it, you know, very refined. But for me, it's more just very rough and intense, basically. Um,
Well, that's cool. Even with the ink, it kind of forces you to have that gesture in your drawing. Like you can't be too surgical with working with ink like that. There's a lot of life in it.
yes, it's fun. I mean, it's really fun, and especially when it's on the wall. You know, it drips. You know, it flows. You can just, you know, do your little hand movements. But again, I mean, I think a big part of it is just because I was very exposed to curvilinear lines, and I'm just used to it. I mean, if you look at like Persian miniatures or something, you know, all of these things, they all have those curvilinear lines, or certain cultures. But yeah, that's how how I do my thing.
That makes sense. There's no straight lines in nature, I don't think. It makes sense to me. Should we open it up for questions? I have a couple questions, but if anyone wants to ask a question out loud, or if you want to write it in the chat on the side here, we can open that up for questions too. I think, let me see if I can do that.
I'm also gonna share my screen, and I'm going to give you guys my website, email, LinkedIn. If you guys had any questions, you know, or if you guys wanted to come and see the studio with your parents, of course, after COVID, you guys are more than welcome. So I'm gonna share this. Let me just make sure I have, okay, there we go. So hold on. All right, I'm having a problem with, okay, there we go. All right. So here's the information if you guys needed it. So if you guys wanted to ever contact me after, more than welcome. So anyways, Shane, you can continue. Do you want me to turn off the sharing screen, or should it just stay on?
Sure, we can like share a
Can you-
screenshot of this after, or we can post it on Schoology afterwards.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll just send you the information after, so it's easier.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
First question here, is it easier or harder to work on a bigger canvas like that, or is it just a preference? Which we kind of talked about a minute ago, but.
I think at first you have to adjust to it. A lot of stepping back is required, which sometimes you will not step back, and then the proportions are wrong, and then you step back and you realize, okay. So it just really depends. You just have to keep practicing, and at some point, I think it's like everything. You know, the more practice you have, the more comfortable you're gonna get in that, and you know that's just gonna become your instinct or your nature to paint that large, you know, or smaller. Um, so that's what I would say.
Um, sorry, there's a ton of questions here now, like all at once. Let me, I'm trying to get through them. I don't know if we can answer all of them, but I'm just gonna pick the ones I see here. I just saw one sec. What got you into drawing and painting, like from the start?
So ever since I was a kid, I always loved painting. I actually wanted to become a veterinarian or make changes with, you know, like environmental sciences and everything, but I used to always paint. When I turned 16, I actually went to Switzerland and got my international baccalaureate, the IB. And in the IB, you basically take 6 subjects. And one of my subjects was art, and I had the chemistry and, you know, the biology and all the other stuff. I've even worked with cows and dogs. I have that experience, but my chemistry was never good, unfortunately. And I had this one instructor called Mr. Priest, and he was British and very, 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 very blunt and very straight to the point. And so for the first 2 months, so every month you were supposed to give, you know, like a project. And you know, the first 2 months he just ripped my project apart. You know, he was like, this is just trash, there's everything going in this is terrible, whatever. So I became a little bit angry, of course, at first, you know. So what happened was, instead of, you know, getting upset, I mean, I was angry, so I started working very, very hard, and I kept painting, kept working. And then at some point he came behind me and he pointed at something, which was a continuous line, which was what I actually started with. And he said, there's something here. This is interesting. And so I continued. And then eventually I realized, you know, I love art. It's something else. So my grades were getting bad with the other ones, but I was developing a really, really good portfolio for art schools. And then I applied. I got into all the schools, luckily, you know, knock on wood. And then from there, you know, I decided I want to do art. But I have to say, you guys, you know, the first few years of art school, I was just another art student. I wasn't serious about the arts. I wasn't giving 100% of myself. So after, when I really said, okay, I'm gonna do this, that's when I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, art. And that's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say before, when you were talking about your school work versus your personal work, I want everyone to know that you work really, really hard at what you do. And just because you were more interested in your personal work doesn't mean that you weren't one of the best in your classes, because you were.
Oh,
And you're like, I mean, your like LCAD work that you like were a little less interested in, it was still some of the best work in the class, and you still worked really hard on it, which takes a lot to do that and then go home and work hard on your own stuff too. So I just want the students to hear that like, if you, just because, I don't know, if you're not into an assignment, that doesn't mean it's not helpful or you shouldn't do it.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's very important to say that, you know, your personal work is very important, but your schoolwork, extremely, extremely, extremely important. That does not mean that you don't do your assignments. That does not mean that you don't work hard at school. You know, I was a full-time student. I was working very hard, but I'm just saying that I was not, you know, like I was still doing the work to 100% of myself. But I was just, my point of all of this was saying, when I said, you know, like I wasn't one of the best students, was that I'm just saying that don't think that if you see other students that, you know, have a better ability than you are, more talented, that should not discourage you. You should still do your work. You 100% have to do this schoolwork, because if it wasn't for the fundamentals, I wouldn't be here. the fundamentals help out a lot. You know, you learn about the values, composition, I don't know, line quality, all these things are taught in the school, and those things just help you make your vision better. They're tools. So I do agree with you on that, Shane. It's definitely, I was working hard in school as well. It wasn't like I was just doing my own thing.
Well, I mean, I've seen that at LCAD, and it doesn't always work. Like the hard work, the hard work and discipline part of it is like one of the only patterns of successful artists out there. Everyone has a different story with that on how they found their stride, but no one's doing it without hard work. And I don't know, I just can't stress that enough, that you do work super hard. And even if it, between your personal and your schoolwork, I don't know, that it's important. It's hard to do because that's something I talk about with my students is, you know, the work you feel like you should be doing and the work that you want to be doing, and how you walk that line and balance those out. There's no easy way to do that, but I don't know, there's no shortcut to that other than just like doing both at the same time and doing them both really well. That's really hard to do. So
I mean, if you want to do something, if you really want it, you have to do it. No one's gonna do it for you. No one's going to paint for you. And it just really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to just have an art degree, or do you want to do this professionally? Because also there's the other side where you will work hard, you will make your pieces, and it might not sell. And you have to wait for 6 months, a few years to sell it. And that's the reality of art, but it brings you patience, and it just depends. Do you really love it? Do you want to become a professional artist? So you have to put in the hours of doing the personal and the schoolwork.
yeah. And no one's gonna check on you when you're doing your personal work to see if you did it or not. I remember John Brosio said a funny thing in class once. He's like, the sound of after art school is just silence. Like no one cares, which was good. It's good to hear. It's good. I don't know. It's good to be aware of that stuff. There's another good question here. What advice would you give on how to make the most of your space, like for your workspace? Like if your art studio is like a corner of your kitchen table at home and not like a big awesome studio, like what is that like for you?
Okay, one thing that you guys need to know is I'm not a very structured person, unfortunately. But I did start with working from my garage, and it wasn't like we had an empty garage. You know, the cars were parked in the garage, and at night I would basically park the cars out, and then I would paint, and then after I was done, I would park them inside again. And even if you don't have that, you know, you have a room or you share a room, start with something small. It doesn't have to be huge. Or a possibility would be maybe, you know, doing like collaboration murals with like, if the school is having activities or something, if you guys see these activities, that can also be a possibility. But do small, you know. Instagram, you know, there's so many artists doing so much stuff on Instagram, and it's so small. Because your goal is to just be able to practice and do something, and eventually you'll go large. I mean, I wasn't doing 9-foot paintings, 18-foot paintings like 4 or 5 years ago. They were small. They started from small, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So just start with whatever you have. You know, as long as you have a table or something to just put on your lap to just draw, you're good to go. You know, you don't need anything fancy. You don't need anything special. Just something to just do it. You're good to go.
Right on. Another interesting one. What is especially as someone who went to LCAD, like what's your relationship to your reference photos like?
So do you mean like what references I use and
like or as far as I feel like LCAD can, this doesn't sound great, but sometimes they kind of train artists to like copy photos. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
It's I don't know, it's another thing to balance, and I think you kind of hit you kind of know that well about yourself on what you're going to use from your reference and how and what you're going to not use. I don't know. I won't talk for you, but
So for me, I actually tried the copying like a photograph thing, and I think it's kind of like a hoax, because the thing is, like, a lot of people, majority that I've seen, they basically transfer the photo, and what they do is they basically replicate the color. They're just mixing color and painting like by numbers, basically. Anybody can do that, and you just blend it. It's not artistry. Like, you look at the masters, and even though it was realistic, there's still a painterly feel with the painting. Like, for example, the darks are transparent, the lights are opaque, but it's realistic. Like, it makes sense. And for me, first I was more into like painting from my imagination. But then eventually you realize you actually need the photo references, because there are some points that you need to understand logic. So I would say, photos are good, photo references help, but it just depends on what the person likes to do. I mean, somebody likes to just paint exactly like a photograph, and if that's what you want to do, by all means do it. I mean, somebody might not look at my paintings and say, this is not what I like to do. But I just say, just like, try to draw something like from your head, even if it's not logical, or if you have an idea, don't get too sucked into the photo, because that's so easy. Or if you look too much at the masters, or like, it's very important to study the masters 100%. But sometimes when you look at an artist for too long, you get too sucked into the artist, so you try to like replicate it instead of actually trying to make your own version of it. So it's about just stepping back every once in a while. I think, at least for me, because I sometimes get too sucked into the photo too. Like, you're trying to get, the colors and everything inside. So you just have to go basically the law that they teach us, general to specific, and you just step back.
yeah. And I think if you do like someone's work, like one of the old masters, and you make a painting and you do realize like, oh, this is just a so-and-so painting, that's okay if you're
Yeah.
aware of it and you're open about that. And like, because every time you do that, you kind of take what you like from that and put it in your pocket and move on to the next thing. And then over time, you're going to you're like a funnel for all these different inspirations that are all coming into one thing. And that's what's going to be unique about your work.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even the master copies, one thing that was really cool about doing those is that, so that the exercise for that is basically to paint like that. So that's a different thing. That's the purpose of that is very different than what we're talking about. But the cool thing about that is that you learn stuff, because you're trying to basically translate your paint the same way. So you might come across some things that you would never do, which is so simple, and you would discover that just from doing the master copy. It's very different than just looking at it.
Yeah. It's like learning a song on guitar, or like doing
Absolutely.
Here's another question from a student. You were talking about sincerity and always being invested in what you are making, which I think is the most important thing when making art. But I was wondering, what inspires your art and what you make?
So I come from an Iranian background, and I moved from Iran to Switzerland, and then from Switzerland here. And one thing that I noticed when I came here was I noticed a very negative trend of feminism, of some women, not all of them, saying that women are better than men, and kind of using their sex as a way to kind of take advantage of certain things, or say, oh, because I'm a woman, this, or like a all female art show or something, which I think is incredibly sexist. At the end of the day, you have to look at the work. If it's good, it's good. I'm not saying that sexism has not existed and it still does not exist in some things, but I think that the more we focus on that, the more there's an issue. So I was first inspired by powerful women making a difference, such as Malala Yousafzai, that fought for education rights. and Kurdish women fighting ISIS. You know, those things were the things that really inspired me. But I'm also very, very inspired by wildlife and nature. And I think that femininity is also a very beautiful thing, and it has power in it. There's a lot of people who bash that, and I don't like that. You know, if you're a tomboy, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also nothing wrong with being feminine. The maternal instinct or just femininity, that has its power itself. You know, men and women are different in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we should celebrate our differences. So really, that has been my theme for now, and has been for a while. Different stages, of course. You know, I've had the intense ones and I've had the mellow ones. But also wildlife. Like I did a series with Asiatic cheetahs, which there's only 50 of them left. And then there was one of the Arabian oryx, which in Sir Banias, an island in the UAE, they actually were able to save them from becoming extinct. And now they have the highest population of them, and they've freed 50 female Arabian oryxes out in the wild. So it's kind of like bringing awareness to something, but in a positive manner, rather than showing something very vulgar. They can see something and it's very beautiful, and they say, oh, that's very nice. What is it? Oh, it's an Asiatic cheetah, or oh, it's an Arabian oryx, or oh, it's, I don't know, like a particular flower or something, you know. But that's really my main theme for the moment.
Wow, there's so much there. I'm just like processing stuff. That's awesome though. Have you shown your work in Iran at all?
I have not. I prefer not to get into that. But yeah, I have not actually.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been just exhibiting here and in other places.
Yeah. Is it like, I don't know, is that difficult kind of with like what you're saying, where you're coming from, and then like the art world today, like does that like brush up against people with like different beliefs a lot? And like,
So it's really interesting. I actually have a good amount of Iranian collectors here, and they enjoy it. I mean, sometimes it's very funny. You know, you're in an art fair, and a lot of times they don't know you're the artist, which is the best part, because you can hear everything they say. It's great, and sometimes you hear the funniest comments. So you know, like I hear stuff like I've heard ones where, you know, I remember once there were these two Iranian guys, and they were like looking at the painting, and they were like, oh, clearly she didn't have enough time, like she didn't finish the painting, you know. And it was funny to me, like it wasn't offensive at all, but just because they were Iranian, it was even funnier. So I couldn't help myself, and I said, oh, you think it's not finished? But I didn't even want to say anything, but it just popped out. And then they were like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, like, whatever, you know. But it was really funny. But I've had different ones. I mean, I haven't had anything too negative. I have had ones where where they like comment something like, oh, why are they nude? I don't understand. And you know, it's okay, everybody has a different opinion on it. But nothing too negative. And the thing that I like about it is that not only women like the pieces, but men also like the pieces. But the reaction from each one is very different, and the perception that they have is very different when they talk about the piece.
that's a good thing, I think. Like just yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
nuanced.
It was
If it was all the
was
same
just,
answer, then
and it's like I don't want them to feel like it's only made, you know. And because for me it's very important not to say, you know, like women are the best, you know. Each have their good qualities, and we can celebrate that, you know. So that for me is very important, and it's nice to be able to see that as well, that it's not only interesting for females, but also, you know, men can also relate to the paintings, which is very nice.
we have a couple more questions. how did you make a career of your art? Which you could take that however you'd like, but like, what is, yeah, how did you make a career of your art? It's a big question. But.
You know, I worked hard, and I did stuff, and I wasn't waiting for an opportunity. I just did my work, and I kept putting it out there, and eventually I was the right person at the right time, and I met my gallery. And really, the only reason that we're working together right now is because I was working on that 9.5-foot painting, and I had all these other pieces all around sitting there, you know, and I was just producing, and it was for myself. And I think that that's the beauty of the time you guys have now, is that you don't have any responsibilities. People are not waiting for you. They do not expect you. You don't have any deadlines. So it's the purest time that you can create this work. It's so precious and it's so enjoyable. And really just take advantage of it. And that's really how I made the career. And they noticed me. And again, they weren't there for seeing my work. They were there for a different reason. And they decided to represent me after a few shows, you know, and that's how I made the career.
That's awesome. And so you're getting ready for LA Art Show this year.
Yes, but I think it's gonna get canceled just because of the situation. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still going to have to get the pieces ready just in case. And you know, the worst is if it doesn't happen, we have some pieces ready. You always have to have pieces ready, always work on something. So just getting ready for that.
Right on. We have another question here. Has anyone ever claimed your art as their own and took credit? And have you ever had to deal with copyright? Which is probably a good question because your work is very iconic, I think, to me. Like, I always know it's yours. So I don't know.
Knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. I've had people try to replicate, but I do have this belief that even if somebody tries to copy you, they don't have your hand. The way that they translate it is going to be so different, you know. Even if they try to copy it, it's just, no, it's not possible. You know, I believe that, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, okay, they try to copy it, make something better, you know, think about it that way. But yes, unfortunately, I don't know too much about copyright, which is also very important, but I'm not the best person to ask. I haven't had any issues with that yet.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine anyway. Like, because you're probably thinking about the next piece anyway, which they wouldn't be able to do.
It's just like, you know, you think to yourself, if you want to think that way, I mean, you've been inspired by something, you know, I don't know, a piece of a leaf will fall down from the sky, and it's gonna have an effect on you subconsciously. And
yeah,
what do you can't say that you basically thought of everything yourself. That's not true. You know, you've seen all these things, you're exposed to everything, and it affects you in some way. It's just how we are, you know. It's you don't make everything by yourself. It's just not possible.
I have another question. This is something I've been kind of asking some of my students all semester, kind of over and over again. They're probably sick of it, but how would you define success as an artist? What does that mean to you?
I think if the pieces are sincere and there is skill, timelessness, I think that's very important. For me, that's success, you know. And not, this is the ego side talking, but you know, my goal before I die is that, and unfortunately I can't see what happens, but would be to not to be forgotten after 2 generations, you know. And just the pieces make people feel something. Now, whether it's positive, negative, but at least they feel something, and it's not just like, oh, okay, it's a painting, you know. But I feel like if you're sincere about it, you're really genuine about it, people do feel it. They really do feel it. It's crazy. And for me, that's success, to have those 2 things in the pieces.
Right on. Is your work for you? or who is your work for? Sorry, that's a better question.
What do you mean? Is it for me? I mean, I
Like,
sell the pieces.
no, like when you why are you making the work that you make? Like, why do it at all?
It's honestly, that's such a weird question. You know, I don't know. I love to paint, and um, there's just some things that, you know, you have in your head, and you just, it sounds so cheesy saying it out loud, but you know, you want to paint it. It sounds so lame, but you know, you want to paint it, and you want to share it with people. But at first, it's for you. You know, sometimes this is so cringe, but sometimes, you know, you do a painting, and you know, at some point, the painting has life to it. You know, it becomes a little bit alive, and then sometimes you kill it. You really do kill it. You know, like you make some mistakes and you kill the painting. But there is a point where it really does have a soul, and there's something very special about that. And just even, you know, when you finish a painting and then you take it to a show, and you know, somebody loves it so much that they buy it, you know, this is a part of your soul that's only always going to be alive. You know, this, you know, if you die, this is going to be there, and it's always going to be there, and people have a connection with it. You know, that's so beautiful, that moment that you see the collector or somebody looking at that piece and loving it so much, and then also, like, I don't know, a few months later, a few years later, they send you a message saying, I still love this piece. You know, that's just so special, so special. At first it's for you, but that's definitely like a huge thing that just keeps you going, you know. It's it's so pure. It's just so special when you see that in their face, you know. It's something you can't really explain, in my opinion.
I agree. That's awesome. Well said. I had one more and I lost it. Oh, how much time do you spend painting every day?
Um, so it really depends. If I'm in crunch mode, I would paint at least 15 to 17 hours, but it's too much, and I don't sleep a lot. But that's only when it's like emergency mode and it's, you know, like close to the show. I really don't recommend that though, because I did that for my solo exhibition. And I got very burnt out, and my body right now, I cannot stay up until you know, 9 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. I really don't recommend it. But I would say it just really depends, because sometimes some pieces you need to let it breathe. You can't just put in the hours, you know. Sometimes you have to only spend like maybe 2 hours on it or 3 hours, and you have to let it sit, and you have to let it breathe, and you have to and then you work on something else. But I'd say like it just really depends on the day. But every day I come to the studio, every single day.
That's important.
Yeah, even if you're not going to do anything, you go to your office. It's very important, very important.
Gotta show up. We have another question, which, so how do you, if you have trouble with like, you're like, what's it like making like confident brushstrokes and lines and stuff like that? And how do you get over that kind of fear of working at that scale?
Don't be scared to make mistakes. You ruin your painting, go make another one. Okay, you're not Rembrandt. You're not going to be Rembrandt in maybe like a few, like 20 years at least. It's okay. You have to keep practicing, and you can make a better painting. Always believe that. And it's very hard. It's very hard, because you make the wrong mistake and you just want to smudge it or you wipe it off. Every time I do that, I regret it. Just let it dry and just work with it, and just let it sit a little bit. At least that's how I think. That's why the watercolors help, because I mean, Shane, you know, you cannot keep fidgeting with the watercolors, or it's just going to get really muddy or too dark. You have to just let it be. So that is a huge helper. And also the ink drawing. I just say practice. I mean, I'm not a professional yet, you know, I'm learning as well, but you know, definitely the lines have become more confident.
Yeah.
Don't think too much. Just, you just go.
I don't see us having any confidence problems with making those lines. They're awesome. This is a good question. Do you have a favorite painting?
There's a few I really like that I think that were my best ones, but somehow, every time they find a home or something, it never hurts. At first, it's a little difficult, but then every time you paint the next one, you're learning something new, and you just get better and better and better. I would say, all right, I'm gonna find my website. I'll show you guys what it is. Let's see. I have a few. There was one that was the flamingos, which was 14 feet, which I loved. That one was a fun one. And I have the peacocks. All right, I'm gonna share the screen with you. Hold on. Where's the icon? Okay, I'm
sharing the screen should be a green button towards the bottom of the window.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. So this one's one of my favorites, which I did in 2018. And then I have sorry you guys, I'm really not good at this. All right. Where did it go? I have this zoom icon on the side. I can't. Okay, there we go.
Oh,
there
that's
we go.
okay.
All right, we have to go back on my website. Let's see. I really like this one. I wasn't able to get a professional photograph of this one, unfortunately, so the photo is not really good, but this one is definitely one of my favorites.
Are those charcoal drawings?
Which one? These?
Yeah.
No, this is all ink. This is all ink.
Those two on the left, I love those.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are, it's all ink. Yeah, that's the thing about ink, that it's so, like, look, there's so many mistakes in this, but you just you just take advantage of that, and it gives it movement. I love the ink. It's pretty great. I mean, here all of the lines are too dark, in my opinion. I think now, I'm getting a little bit more sensitive towards the like the line quality and all those things. Like, line quality for me, I think, is one of the most important things. And just light, dark, but just all those layers, it makes a huge difference. And I'm still learning again, but I think those are my favorite ones. Oh, this one's kind of cool too. Let's see. I love this one. It's pretty intense. A lot of people saw this painting and some said it has too much energy. This one was maybe, I think it was 9 feet or something. I don't know in inches, but
That's awesome.
Yeah, that one was a fun one. It's like a lot of just the brush strokes again, a lot of layers. This one's pretty thick too. Let's see, where is it? Oh, this one. If you look at it in person, this was also very, like, a lot of layers, which was interesting because it's not my usual palettes, but it was pretty fun. But I'd say that those are my favorite pieces until now.
Are they sort of born in your sketchbook, or do you kind of just face a blank canvas and have a vague idea? What is that like?
I usually don't do sketches, which is really bad. I don't recommend it, you guys. There's a reason they teach you stuff in art school. And I think also one thing that was the mistake was, before, I didn't know why they would do it. I didn't understand. But when you have the sketch beforehand, it makes everything so much easier, because you're drawing this like this whole composition and you keep making mistakes. You have to redo it again over and over again. But there is sometimes some really interesting compositions come out just because you have to figure it out, but it's very frustrating. I hate it. Every time I do it, I hate myself every single time. No, I don't recommend it. I do the sketches now beforehand.
Nice.
It takes way too much time. Like, it's not good.
But I mean, I feel like your work it's influenced by those blind contour drawings too. Like that's a lot of that life in your work is coming out of the like the unknown of the next moment, not really knowing what's going to happen next. So that there's something there, something to be said for that too.
There's life to it, and sometimes it's nice to leave the marks that you had before just to show the process of the piece. I think people also really enjoyed that with the work, but you know, everybody's different. I personally like it. I like people to see, because it's a part of the painting. You know, you can't just like, why would you cover it? I mean, if it's really bad, you'll cover it, but you know, a little bit of it, it's kind of nice to see.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to get in before we're done here? We're almost at the end. Trying to think of another. Actually, one other thing I'd like to ask about is that relationship between, you know, the personal work you really want to make and then like being able to hustle and make money and support yourself, which doesn't really get talked about in art school a lot. Certainly didn't get a lot of that at LCAD, although they did teach us a lot of skills. But like, how do you navigate that and kind of know what to do with it?
So first of all, again, you should not be scared to put your stuff out there. Even if you think it's not perfect, you'll never think it's perfect. You'll never be satisfied, but just put it out there, start with that. And it's just going to get better, because the more you do it, the more advanced you're going to become. I mean, I'm not, I have to be more active on Instagram, I do have to say. But if you guys are super active on Instagram and TikTok, you can actually make a lot of money from that. I mean, I've seen some TikToks and the work is really like just very, very simple. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but just we need to take advantage of the media age. Apparently, I think that after 1,000 views, you get like, I don't know, 11 cents or 2 cents. These numbers are so wrong, but something you get per view. And you know, like that itself is basically making money out of nothing. It's virtually. And then on top of that, you know, you're gonna keep posting. People are going to want to buy it. You know, you can do prints if you don't want to sell your originals. You have to reach out to galleries, do shows, do collaborations. These are the ways that you can make the money. I mean, at first you might have to start with having a job on the side. I'm not saying don't work, but also try not to get too sucked into just thinking about, you know, oh my God, like money, you know, because if you look at all of the successful people, a lot of them didn't have money at first, you know, like, but they really said, okay, you know what, I'm going to give 100% myself, and it has to work. You know, it's not like it's not going to work, but you got to just put it out there, and it will respond eventually. Do stickers. You know, there are people that do stickers and they're making tens of thousands of dollars just from very, very simple stickers. So just do that. You know, it's just advertisement, really. It's your marketing. Marketing is the most important thing. Like, your art is also very important, but I've seen people with not very good quality art, and just the marketing is so good that they're making so much money. It's unbelievable. So just, I would say, put it out there. Put everything out there.
I remember an artist friend kind of being really hesitant about like doing a commission of someone's pet or something, and I'm always like, just paint your aunt's dog. It's okay. Like, get paid for it and make it the best dog anyone's ever seen before, and just use that, buy more paint, and then go work on your own stuff. I think people are kind of afraid to like cross into that, and I just, as long as you're aware of it, I'm like, this painting is to help me pay rent, and then this painting is for me. And it's not easy to navigate, but people don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Sometimes you have projects where you're not excited about, maybe, but it's your mindset that's very important. I mean, you can't expect yourself to be like a discovered Picasso or something. It doesn't work that way. You have to do some work before you get to that point. So take advantage of the opportunity and just go from there, because it's free advertisement for you. and do your own style in the dog, or you know, whatever it is, you know, you
Yeah.
paint a certain way, you know, whether you want it or not, it's your hand, it works a certain way. So just take advantage of it, I'd say. I agree with you.
Right on. Well, I can't think of anything else other than just thank you so much for being here, talking to us. This was really cool. I hope this was helpful. This was helpful for me. I'm inspired to go paint. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just grateful. And I can't say enough that you've worked hard the whole time. I've kind of gotten to watch this whole thing happen since school, and you're very deserving, and just, I don't know, keep doing what you're doing. But you work really hard, and I want everyone to know that.
Thank you, Shane.
not-
Thank you.
It's not magic.
Yeah, it's really not magic. It's really not magic. And you know, from the outside, it looks like such a glamorous and easy and fun life. Like, oh, she gets to paint every day. That's so, no, it's not like that. You know, like when you have deadlines, when you have 4 paintings that you need to finish, and then you finish the paintings, and then at some point, you know, it doesn't sell. What are you going to do? You're gonna have to keep continuing. You gotta get your head up. You know, you keep working, keep working, keep working. There's gonna be people telling you that you're gonna fail. There's gonna be people telling you like what you're doing is wrong or it's not good. You just have to ignore all of that and you keep going. But you have to work hard. It's very, very important.
Is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Is there any advice you can give? Some overarching thing? Like, what's the best advice you've ever received just for yourself and as an artist? If you can think of it.
I'd honestly say just hard work and being consistent, and don't be afraid to take risks. Do not be afraid to take risks. You know, this is your life. You live one life, and you know, then you're gonna die. So what do you want to do? Do you want to just have a very, you know, like every day you're gonna think, okay, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. If that satisfies you, good for you. But you guys have the opportunity to get to this. You guys live in America. You know, these opportunities exist over here. It's possible to be anything that you want and be the best at what you want, you know. And especially now with social media again, there's no way you cannot fail. There's really no way you cannot fail. So just work very, very, very hard, and don't be afraid to take risks. You know, if this is what you really want to do, stick to it. Just really stick to it. It's possible. It's really possible.
Right on. Well, thank you again. I'm super grateful you got to talk to our students here. This is really cool.
Oh, thank you. I mean, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's my first time, and hopefully the technical difficulties with the cameras worked well.
That was awesome. I didn't even know. I didn't know we were getting a demo. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean,
love seeing that.
Yeah, and hopefully next time, you know, or something, you know, that the camera situation would be better. But it's a learning process, so it's good.
Yeah, well, I'm inspired to go make an ink drawing, so thank you for that too. I don't know if you can see the chat. There's like a few hundred thank yous from all the people.
Oh,
there, so
thank you so much, you
everyone's
guys.
really
And
special.
again, you know, if you guys had any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out. You can message me on Instagram, email, LinkedIn, you know, whatever you guys want. So don't feel free to say hello and, you know, ask your questions. But thank you all for tuning in, and I wish you guys the best of luck. You guys have some special people helping you out. You know, they're pretty great people. I went to school with Shane. He's amazing. He was one of the best artists, and I've told him this before. Like, he also has his own style, and really just like academically and like his own artistic, you know, work, his own professional work. Truly amazing. He's an incredible professor. Really take advantage, you know, and
Thanks, y'all.
he's great. He's really great, and he's a nice guy. He's a cool guy. You know,
Oh,
it's good.
you're sweet.
You know, it's the truth. You know, it's the truth. But yeah, you guys have to take advantage of this and take advantage of these classes and all these people. I mean, It's pretty great, but really take it seriously, you know, and time is gonna go fast. If you can start this now, start it now. You're gonna thank yourself so much in a few years, really.
Absolutely. Right on. Well, thank you all. It was great to see you.